As we have said time and again, India is SUV country. In the last few years, SUVs have become the choice of vehicle that most new car buyers aspire to own. And for those looking to get in on some SUV action, well, there's no better place to start than this, the compact SUV segment. Now, of course, in all fairness, these cars aren't exactly all alike in that regard. The Scorpio, on one hand, is a proper true blue SUV. The Creta and the Duster are proper compact crossovers, and the S-Cross, well, that's the most sedan-like amongst this lot here. However, what ties these cars together is the pricing, as they play in a pretty similar price bracket. So today, Team Zeegnition's job is to find out which of these cars fits the compact SUV bill the best.
Looks may be subjective, but they do give us a feel of what's in store when we talk of these four cars. Let's start with the oldest player in this segment, the Scorpio. Amongst these four cars, it's no doubt the most true blue SUV in terms of its styling. Now in its third generation, the Scorpio is built on an all-new platform utilizing stronger composite materials and crumple zones that make it a safe car to be in. It's got a very XUV style front grille, big and bold wheel arches, rounding up the back with those striking tail lamps. Big, bold and menacing, if that's how you like your cars. The Duster, in a lot of ways, seems to be the car that outlines what consumers feel an SUV should look like. The flared wheel arches, short overhangs, and more than adequate ground clearance gives it a very purposeful look and gives an impression of it being a larger car than it is. If a robust and no-nonsense look is what you're looking for, the Duster should be right up your alley. Hyundai's Creta is probably the most modern and affable compact SUV in the market. Fluidic design language is modern and looks the part of a scaled-down SUV with nice and contemporary touches all around. The hexagonal grille, sharp headlamps, bumper inserts give it that aggressive appeal that's aided with strong character lines that run all the way to the rear end. Overall, well proportioned and quite dynamic. While the Suzuki S-Cross may look like a cross-themed hatchback, it is much larger in terms of footprint when seen in the flesh. The front end resembles an evolved SX4 with a much more striking appeal. The look from the side is smart, and the car looks purposeful in its stance with the angular shoulder lines that run all the way to the back. With just 180 mm of ground clearance, it also sits lower than the rest, but in no way affects its ability to trundle over bad sections. All in all, smart, but the least SUV looking of the lot. We've taken a look at these four in terms of the way they look from the outside. Time to step in and see which compact SUV offers what. From the insides, the Scorpio is a sea change from its previous iterations. It's more modern and feels more car-like than ever before. The dash layout is all new, and in terms of materials and fit and finishes, it's quite good. The choice of colors gives it a pleasing light feel, and the cool blue illumination is quite striking as well. In terms of features, there's an automatic climate control system with vents for the rear passengers. It has a multi-information central console that gives information on the tires, fuel range, and also houses a navigation unit with 10 regional languages for guidance. All in all, not the best among the lot, but a nice and feature-filled interior. Step inside the S-Cross and you're greeted by an all-black interior that's really well complemented by this silver highlights all around the car. The dashboard has a really clean layout, and it has this soft-to-touch material which really feels nice and premium. The instrument cluster is really classy, and it's got this backlit illumination that looks really good during the night. and the switches are also of pretty high grade quality, and they're pretty tactile and easy to use as well. One of the good things about the S-Cross is that it comes with a whole lot of storage spaces. So all of these doors get a 1 liter water bottle holder, and not just that, even the center armrest comes with some useful space inside here, along with aux and USB ports. So that's a very useful convenience feature. The 7-inch touchscreen unit of the S-Cross is the brightest, most legible and clearest unit among all the test cars that we have here. Overall, the S-Cross comes across as a really premium design, and it is probably Maruti's best efforts so far in terms of interior design.
Renault's Duster, in terms of its interior, is quite dated when compared to the other cars here. Sure, it's big on space and comfort, but the choice of plastics and materials is not the best. The mechanical switches for the AC, the unusual placement of the electric mirrors are small niggles that bothered us. That apart, with no third row of seats, the luggage swallowing capacity is unbeatable.
The Creta has the best looking cabin in our opinion. The interiors are really premium to look at, and it's got that big car feel that SUV buyers look for. The dashboard has a dual tone layout which is very pleasing to look at, and it also carries forward to the door handles here. The Creta also comes with a 7-inch touchscreen unit which doubles up as your sat-nav guide and a rear parking display. This car also comes with automatic climate control, which works really well to cool the cabin. And if that's not enough, it's also got rear AC vents. The only other car in this lot offering rear AC vents is the Scorpio. Overall, the Creta is a really happy place to be in, and Hyundai has done a great job of keeping its occupants happy with loads of features.
Now that we're done nitpicking the stylistic details, time to put these four face to face and on the move to see just how each of them responds in terms of performance and just how meagerly do they fare on the fuel efficiency front.
In today's comparison of these four compact SUVs, the S-Cross, which I am driving just now, comes with a 1.6 liter engine turbocharged. This engine has the maximum torque with respect to these four cars we are testing today. The fact also remains that the torque comes on only after 1800 RPMs, with the result, in the city, when you are most of the times under 1800 RPMs, you have to make the use of gearbox a lot. But once you are on the highway, this car goes like a rocket. Believe you me, in all the 6 gears, the acceleration adequate, fuel consumption fantastic. She is capable of batting out upwards of 20-24 kilometers to a liter, depending upon how you drive, where you drive. Now I am at the wheel of the Creta. This Creta also comes with a 1.6 liter engine and the 6-speed gearbox. The question is that in spite of being the same cubic capacity compared to the S-Cross, this develops lesser torque. But that doesn't stop this car from being excellent functional vehicle, in the sense through all the 6 gears she performs beautifully. One more very important issue in this Creta is that when you compare this with the rest of the 3 cars, the NVH levels are minimum. The engine and the gearbox is so refined that you don't hear it inside at all at any speeds on most of the surfaces. I think that's great, one great quality about this Creta. As far as fuel consumption is concerned, she is not as fuel efficient as the S-Cross is. But given the size of the car and the speeds and the things that are possible with this car, she bats out diesel fuel consumption. Could be around 20 kilometers to a liter on the highway. But as a total package, this is an excellent performance. Well, I am at the wheel of the burly, brawny Scorpio. Within these 4 compact SUVs, this is the toughest, strongest and the biggest looking vehicle. This has a 2.2 liter M-Hawk engine but with a 5-speed gearbox. The fact remains that this develops little more torque than the Creta and not as much as the S-Cross. But given the fact that you are pulling 500 to 600 kilos extra all the time, it's the heaviest of the lot, the fuel consumption is in jeopardy. As far as the performance of the engine is concerned, adequate torque, and it is capable of going through the rough without any problem with all the load that you can put in. And don't forget one thing, that this also has an option of four-wheel drive, which will probably affect the consumption further. But the vehicle which I am driving is a two-wheel drive, gets around 17.5 kilometers to a liter. Overall, quite pleasurable to drive, does the job very, very well. Well, this is the last of the 4 compact SUVs that we are doing today, namely the Duster. Duster comes with a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, also coupled to a 6-speed gearbox. The issue is that this has the least torque within these 4 cars that we are testing today. As far as drivability is concerned, the car drives very well, there is no doubt about that. As far as fuel efficiency is concerned, don't forget one thing, that this is not the lightest. What is the result? The fuel consumption is at stake. And what do you get as fuel consumption? Much less than 20 kilometers to a liter. Though the NVH is very, very low, it is not in the league of the S-Cross and the Hyundai Creta. Don't forget one thing, that this car is 2-3 years older technology than those 2 compact SUVs. But leaving it at that, the car is thoroughly drivable.
With the looks, interiors, engine performance and efficiency done with, time to delve a little deeper and bring out the differences in character in terms of the way they ride, as well as how much usable space this lot has to offer.
Now, amongst all the cars here, the S-Cross is the most sedan-like to drive. What that means is you sit lower as compared to all the other cars. But that being said, as compared to say other hatchbacks or sedans of this size, this seat definitely is higher to give it more of a crossover sort of feel. And then again, it's not all that large. It's lacking a bit in underside support, at least for my size. I think if you're normal size, it should be more than enough. But if you're on the heavier side and the larger side, it might feel a little too small. That being said, the back seat in this car has everybody else beat, in this segment at least. It's the largest, it's got the most knee room, and you can fit 5 people in this car fairly comfortably. The one place where the S-Cross does suffer a little bit is in terms of its boot. It's the smallest boot out here. However, back seats can be folded in a 60-40 split to give you extra room for luggage, and it has the lowest loading lip of all the cars here. So if you want to put some luggage in the car, it's a lot easier with the S-Cross. When it comes to ride quality, the S-Cross is among the stiffest ones that we've got here today. It's not bone-jarring in any way, but you can definitely feel bumps and potholes on the road through the car's suspension. Now, this stiff suspension gives the car good handling, and the S-Cross is amongst the best handling cars in this lot. Now, when you get inside the Creta, what strikes you most is the sheer amount of space that you have in here. Now, of course, this car looks like an SUV, but it has fairly compact exterior dimensions. However, Hyundai has done a very good job in packaging its interior space, and it shows. It's got lots of it. Like even someone as large as me, I'm very comfortable, especially on this big front seat. I've got lots of under thigh support. The seat back is nice and wide. It's just a comfy place to sit in. When it comes to the back row, it doesn't have the best knee room in this class, but it's quite wide. The seats are themselves quite large, so you can get in 4 adults very easily, and even 5 in a pinch if you have to. If you want to store smaller objects inside the cabin, you got plenty of cubby holes all around. The front doors have massive cubbies which can take at least 2 bottles each and other things as well. And you got one big cubby here in the center console, about a couple of small ones here, and the back doors also can fit in 1 large bottle each. So that's a very good use of space inside this cabin. If I had to nitpick, the boot is not the largest. It's the second smallest boot here among the 4 cars that we've got. However, if you want more space, you can always fold down the back row to get that extra bit of cargo in there. Now, Hyundai has been known to get their ride quality absolutely bang on. and it's no different with the Creta. It's not as stiff as the S-Cross, nor is it as soft and roly-poly as the Scorpio. I think it's a good mix of handling and comfortable ride, and I think it's definitely the best in this class. Now, as good as the Duster is to drive, well, there is a slight problem when it comes to the interiors. But apart from the fact that they're a bit dated, space at the back isn't all that great. It's just about adequate for me with this seat set to my driving position. But because of this less space at the back, you do get one big advantage for this car, and that is this. At 475 liters, this is the biggest boot in this segment. Now, of course, it's not a very tall boot, but it's a very deep one. But that being said, this is definitely a big plus point for this car. Well, that pretty much wraps things up with these 4 cars. So Kaka, you spent some time driving these cars. So what's your opinion in terms of performance and mileage of these 4 cars?
Priyadarshan, it's like this. If you are talking of sheer out and out performance and the fuel economy that can be expected from these vehicles, in these 4 compact SUVs, I think the Suzuki S-Cross and the Hyundai Creta have an edge over these 2 other vehicles, namely the Scorpio and the Duster, because they are definitely far better to drive, much more powerful, better engine performance, and the fuel economy. They are way away from the Duster and the Scorpio.
So if you had to pick one car out of the Creta and the S-Cross, which one would you pick?
As far as sheer performance and fuel economy is concerned, I think the S-Cross takes the cake, because the sort of power that it has, the maximum torque that it develops, and the fuel economy that is possible from the 6-speed gearbox on the highway. I think the S-Cross has an edge over all these 3 cars.
And Ajit, you spent quite some time checking out all the features of all these cars. So what's your take on these?
You know, the Duster has been the pioneer, so as to speak, of the compact SUV segment. But it's also the oldest now. Scorpio, while it was updated last year, still is not in the same league of the Creta and the S-Cross. I think if you're talking about sheer features, the fit and finish, the S-Cross and the Creta take the cake.
But if you had to pick one of those, then which one?
I would say the Creta, hands down.
But Kaka, if you bring in pricing, do things change a little bit with these 4 cars?
Yeah, they do. You see, if you see these, the Creta and the S-Cross, by default they are 2-wheel drive. The Scorpio and the Duster also come with an option of 4-wheel drive. The moment you go to the option of 4-wheel drive, the pricing becomes equal. They are all around 14 lakhs of rupees. That means if you are an enthusiast and you want a 4-wheel drive, it is available at the same price. But if you don't mind the 2-wheel drive, then the Scorpio and the Duster comes at a much cheaper price.
That being said, I think still the S-Cross and the Creta are still the better cars in terms of performance.
Correct.
Also, they're newer cars, right? Because they've been developed ground up from recently, very new cars.
Yes.
So
You see, Priyadarshan, understand one thing, that the Duster and the Scorpio, even if you buy 4-wheel drive, their basic engine performances do not change. Their fuel economy does not change. In fact, it can drop because of the 4-wheel drive. The rolling resistance is much higher. What does it mean? It means that if you want a well-performing 2-wheel drive compact SUV, it points only in one single direction where there are 2 vehicles standing, the S-Cross and the Creta.
Absolutely, I think they are probably our pick in these 4.
But strictly speaking, if you want a car that has compact SUV looks, then the Creta falls closest to that category. But if compact SUV looks is not that important, then the S-Cross is equally good.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much matched in every way, barring the looks. If you wanted an SUV looking car, then the Creta is your choice. If you can live without those looks, I think the S-Cross does everything. Those are our picks. Our picks of these 4 cars is not one but 2 winners, and that is the S-Cross and the Creta.